Welcome back, Shalligators. It's been a bad couple of days for comedian and Katy Perry's ex-husband, Russell Brand. 5 women have come out accusing him of rape, sexual assault, and emotional abuse. And there's even a documentary on British TV or something about it. But what's actually going on here? I mean, are these women telling the truth? Is this all very conveniently timed, since Russell is incredibly outspoken about things like Big Pharma, the vax, politics? He's kind of like the British Joe Rogan. He has tons and tons, millions and millions of subscribers. He's not afraid to call it like he sees it. He says that this is a coordinated attack by the establishment and the powers that be to shut him up and silence him. But my theory is maybe both of these things are true. I can absolutely see him doing these things that these women are accusing him of, but I can also absolutely see how this is very convenient for those big powers that be. So we're going to talk about it all and what we can learn from this, which is, if a guy has a bad reputation, should you believe that? Because in the days that this story broke and the documentary came out, it's just like one unearthed bad joke and red flag after another. And I'm sorry, I really can't think of any red flag redder and bigger and flappier than just how he looks. What is this quasi-Dickensian outfit? What? I can smell him from here. I can smell him from here. There's things moving in his hair. But I digress. We're gonna get into it. It's gonna be a good old-fashioned rant with a little bit of advice. But before we get started, you guys know that the cause near and dear to my heart these days is the Whispering Willows Senior Dog Sanctuary. We're trying to raise some money for them. Guys, if my advice has been helpful to you, and you know I like to offer it for free because I think it should be free, we should all be able to help each other, please consider paying it forward and donating to this wonderful charity. It's literally just a family who, out of the goodness of their heart, takes in abandoned senior dogs. Their family gives them up. I love that they take in the dogs. I wish they would give me the info of the people who abandon these animals. I understand sometimes people have no choice, but a lot of times they do. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. They take in these wonderful old pups who are going to live out the rest of their days in this sanctuary, getting the medical care, and most importantly, the love that they deserve. And they're just such sweet little creatures. So if you can spare some money, that would be amazing. Like I said, if my advice helps you, paying it forward is a really good way to reward that sort of karmic loop. Also, if you need a little bit of connection, come join me and the Shalligators in the Shallantourage. It's our cozy little internet community. You get 5 extra videos a week, access to all of Evil Week last year, our sex tutorials, which are so good, my online dating course, which is gonna help you get up and running, or find love on Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Farmers Only, Black People Meet, whatever it is. And you get to connect with Shalligators from all over. I'm constantly seeing on the meetup thread, we have like 10 different Telegram threads going. I'm seeing on the meetup thread about girls getting together. This is a great little place to come and meet a whole bunch of wonderful people. Okay, wonderful people. Russell Brand does not seem to be among them. You know what they say, a broken clock is still right twice a day. I feel like every monster has this like one outlier girlfriend who you're like, how the fuck did he get her? That's Katy Perry, right? That's how most of us, at least most Americans, know Russell Brand. I mean, he was in that movie Get Him to the Greek or Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You know, he had his like moments around like, I don't know, what was it? 2012, something like that. And yeah, he freaking married Katy Perry. Now, she was raised super, super conservative Christian. Like, they didn't even use the word deviled eggs. It's angel eggs. Like, that's where they were. And so I feel like he was such a rebellion. And, you know, he's like, I'm so sexual and my penis and blah, 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 blah. I feel like he really helped her, like, unlock her sexuality and expand her mind and offer different thoughts. He's incredibly bright. He's very, very smart. But, you know, there seems to be a real dark side to him, which reminds me a lot of John Mayer. If you're in the Shallantourage, you have heard my John Mayer story. Oh, there is one. Yeah, he's not on Russell Brand's level, but he's a cousin of that behavior, I think we can say. Like, there is definitely shades of. It's what you get when you have a man who is very, very intelligent and very, very famous. Because men like that power is a drug, right? I mean, drugs are also drugs, and both of those guys have had their issues with drugs. But when men have that much power, they constantly have to raise the bar. They're chasing that dragon and looking for bigger and bigger conquests. And in a sexual capacity, I think we all know what that can turn into. It can obviously turn into rape. And listen, I don't know if I'm not supposed to like say these words on YouTube, so it'd be like SA instead of sexual assault, unalived themselves instead of suicide. Grow the fuck up. Grow up. If you can't hear these words, good luck dealing with these words. So no, there's not gonna be trigger warnings at the beginning of this. Your triggers are your problem. My triggers are my problem. It's called being a human being. Learn about it. So this is what's going on with Russell. So like I said, all these women came forward and were like, one of whom was 16 at the time. And she's like, I didn't look like a grown woman. I looked like a child in makeup and I was a virgin. And he was like, oh, like when he found out I was a virgin, like immediate boner. He was so excited about it. He groomed me. He told me how to lie to my parents. He shoved his dick down my throat until I like gagged and cried and my mascara ran, which by the way is a joke he had made in the past in a comedy show. He likes the blowjobs where the mascara runs a little bit and the girls gag. This is not a Russell Brand apologist video. This is a realism video. A lot of guys are into that. You know why? Because that's all over porn. That's not exactly what I would call a niche fetish at this point. Could we call it a red flag? I mean, yeah, because it's like, ew. Like, there is nothing equivalent for women. I'm not like, yeah, and then he like gagged going down and what? If a man... Can you imagine? Can you imagine gagging was good? I'd be like, well, fill it with cement because I'm never using it again. Just staple it shut. I'm gonna go jump off a cliff. I can't do. I wouldn't be like, yeah. It's so weird to us. It is not analogous at all. Like women don't have this hardwired need for dominance in the way that men do. We have a hardwired need for connection, and it's insane that any relationship works out. You know, if you look at men and women through that lens, it's like, dude, how is anyone making it work? Because you just think it's all men and cocks and gagging and all women just want to like cuddle and talk about feelings and look at each other's eyes. It's amazing we find common ground, but we do. And the thing with people like Russell is given their behavior, what it always seems to imply is this is just how men are. Right? And this is actually the secret desire of all men. And any guy who doesn't do this, he's just kind of a square. He's repressed. He's not very sexual. He probably has a small dick. He's a beta. Right? That's what monsters want you to think is, well, everybody's a monster. So why would you leave me? I'm going to be the benevolent monster. I'm going to call you my little baby doll when I realize you're 16 and a virgin. Isn't that sweet? Hey, I could let you loose out there and there's a predator and he's going to have the same feelings and the same motives, but he's going to do it real mean. I'm at least going to be nice to you. It's fucked up. But that's a message we get so often from men. And not just with sexual things. I think we get that sort of gaslighting, which is, don't act like this is crazy the way I behave. This is just guys. We get that message way outside the bedroom. Boys will be boys. That's just locker room talk. Hey, it's the boys club at work. You want me to text you good morning every day? Dudes don't do that. They don't think of that. No. You don't think of that. You are this kind of person. Please don't cast that over everything. In the Shallon Trash this week, we were talking about that in reverse, about how men will cast, these blanket judgments over women, and one of them is blowjobs. We were talking about this on Slutty Saturday, which is one day we do. Because I know a guy who's like, women hate blowjobs. They only do it to get something. I'm like, that's not true. He's like, yes, it is. It's always transactional. Like, maybe with you. That's not true. I do it because I like it, because I like the guy. But more than just the guy, I like doing it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. I don't do anything I like. I hate tapas. I literally hate going out to dinner for tapas. No matter how many people are in your party, if it's 4 people, they'll only bring you 3. If it's 3 people, they'll only bring you 2 pieces. Everything's greasy and deep fried and full of ham, and $17. Miss me with that. Okay? I don't do it. You think I'm gonna put a cock in my mouth if I don't want to? I won't even put a croqueta in my mouth. Nope. Anyway, I digress. So these women, have come out of the woodwork saying, one woman said she was straight up raped by him. He pinned her up against a wall. And a lot of them described his eyes like going black, that he gets this sort of glazed predator, not even predatory, because predators are focused on something. It's this like detached, robotic terror. I've seen someone get like this, and that's exactly how I would describe it. Their eyes were completely black and they were so disassociated. And it was the guy I was hooking up with, and he slapped me across the face as hard as he could. I got a concussion. And I was like, ah! Like I lost it. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And it's because that's what he'd seen in porn. And women in porn love it. I'm like, what? We talked about that in the Shallon also, how porn is ruining young men. We've talked about it here. But I think it was interesting that all the women kind of described him in those terms, that he's just this like war machine. Like once he's on this path, there is something, he cannot be deterred unless you physically stop him, unless you punch him in the stomach, unless you run away from him. It's like his eyes are black, his ears are off, like whoa. He's like a robot set to fuck. And nothing will stop him. He's the fuck robot Terminator. I don't know if you've encountered men like this, but it's terrifying because you realize there's nothing I could say in this moment. It's not no, it's not stop, it's not please, it's not baby, let's just switch it up for a minute, right? We try that. We try to come at it from like flip me over. It's like, because I need to get out of this or something. Nothing. It's terrifying. And so I believe what these women are saying. I do believe them. But I also kind of believe what he's saying, and that this is a coordinated attack. And here's why. First and foremost, why didn't any of this come out during Me Too? Why didn't any of this come out during cancel culture? Like 2 or 3 years ago. When the time was right, when they really could have removed him, like scrubbed him from the world the way they scrubbed Kevin Spacey. So many people, they tried to fucking cancel me. Not for this stuff, my God, but right? When it was just a bloodbath and a witch hunt and all of that stuff. Where were these women then? I find that very odd. Part of me wonders if they did give their statements then, if they were given not hush money, but waited out money, or maybe not. I think that it didn't come out then because Russell wasn't as big of a threat. COVID wasn't a huge thing, the vaccine mandates, and now, what's starting up again? That's so cute. I don't mean to sound crazy. I don't mean to sound like any sort of conspiracy theorist. I don't think that I am. Got my antenna. Okay, now I can receive messages from my overlords. Perfect. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I do want to sound logical. Tell me in the comments, which conspiracy theories are you like, I actually think that that's totally true. Are you one of those people who thinks they faked the moon landing? Are you? I don't mean to laugh because listen, I've had conspiracy theories about things that people would laugh at me. They shouldn't because I turned out to be right, but maybe you'll be right too. I don't know. Tell me your favorite conspiracy theory. But yeah, I absolutely think that this is all just very convenient. Is that to say that these women are lying or that they're being paid to say this? No, I don't believe they are lying. At the outside of like the tinfoil hat conspiracy, what I could maybe think is like they're sort of an amalgam of stories that actually happened. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're the proxy for a ton of things that probably legitimately happened, but it just didn't happen to these precise women. They're just sort of a face for it, and neatly galvanized at this particular time with the wonderful benefit of trying to destroy his career and discredit him because he's maybe getting a little close to the truth, getting a little close to the edge of the box in terms of some of his theories. How familiar are you with Russell Brand? What do you think about his series? I can't go into them on YouTube because I will literally get demonetized because free speech, right? Elon, come and save us. But what do you think? Again, I think the biggest red flag of him is literally how he looks. Because you look at a man who dresses like this and who talks about what a sex addict he is, and I'm sorry, can I just be shallow for a minute? I've already got a tinfoil hat on. Can I also be shallow? Get your ass to the gym. Forget about the Greek. Don't go to the Greek. Get him to the gym. I love it when men are like, I love shagging and I love women and I love sex. Wait, I have about the same amount of muscle tone as a veal. I'm like a sex veal. I'm like a sex wagyu calf. Is it too much to ask for you to spend a few minutes in the plank position every day? And he's like, I love yoga. This man is proof. This man is proof that yoga doesn't work. Do you know how many calories you burn doing an hour of yoga? I can tell you, 90 calories. And Russell is proof. Look at him. Not one muscle in his body. Not one. And how big is his weenus anyway? He's tall and he's lanky, so I'm gonna guess pretty big. I wish that these women, when they do these exposés, that's what I want to hear. Here's how big his dick is. I mean, you're talking about it being shoved down your throat. Let's get down to brass tacks. Because if she's like, it's 12 inches down my throat, we're like, oh, that is untoward. That is rude and untoward. But if it's like, well, it was 3.5, it's like, well, how far down your throat really was it? I mean, come on, you still shouldn't do that, but like, how far down was it? Tell the dirt, girl! You're ruining this man's life. Let's go. My antenna all right? Ugh, I wonder why I didn't receive messages for the last few minutes. There we go. Ugh. I don't want to look stupid. But yes, his appearance. Why is this such a red flag? Because this is how men dress when they think they can behave with impunity. Again, it's that power chase. It's chasing the dragon of what can I get away with? You know who asks themselves that while dressing like an absolute idiot? Toddlers. Toddlers do. What can I get away with? I had my dino nuggets and I had the blue Civic Cup and I want to wear the stupid outfit. They're toddlers. Okay? And if you can look at men who behave this way, who are ostentatious purely to see how bad they can look, how bad they can behave, how shitty they can speak, how vulgar they can be, and still get laid. Run, girl. That is not a man who is capable of love. Now, I know Russell is married and maybe he's turned his life around. And that seems to be his sort of like justification. Like, yeah, I used to have my like wild child period. But that to me plays into the boys will be boys. And it's just kind of your job as a girl to clean up the fucking pieces when he shatters you. He's going to move on. And you know what? I had my wild child period. I was snorting Adderall on the Jersey Shore way longer than I should be, okay? I didn't rape anyone. I never shoved anything down anyone's throat. I didn't sexually traumatize anyone. Child, I don't even think I emotionally traumatized anyone, right? I really don't think so. I mean, maybe I ghosted a few guys. Maybe I threw a bit of a fit in like a Quickie Mart at 2 a.m. after we were out drinking. But like my version of chaos, and I'm sure yours too, is so incredibly mild compared to what men do to women. I don't know a single girl who hasn't been sexually assaulted. I really don't. And I'm not saying all of those include rape. I mean, just things that were like really, really jarring and really scary and really freaky. And you know what? Every woman has the right to decide where that line is. You know, some women can gag on cocks all day. They don't care. It's no big deal. For some women like that, don't even pull her hair. Don't put your hand on her throat. She doesn't like it. And it's just ours to deal with, right? This is all just our problem. What I think will happen to Russell Brand, honestly, nothing. I don't think he's going to get canceled. I don't think his life is going to get ruined. I think if he was going to get any sort of like charges, he probably would have already. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they do it kind of differently in England. Maybe sometimes the tail wags the dog and these documentaries come out and the police are like, oi, should we be arresting people? I don't know. Chelsea got a football game on tonight playing Arsenal. Get round to it, mate. I don't know. Is that what the cops do out there? I have no idea. That can definitely be what they do here. But will he get like deplatformed and silenced? Honestly, no. I think powers that be that are trying to shut people up at this point are it's a fool's errand, because you literally just make a martyr and you make them more popular. You get more eyes on them. Like, cancellation at this point fucking backfires, right? I think there will always be a home for people like him. And by people like him, I mean men, right? Smart also, but hey, I also mean smart people. I mean articulate, entertaining people. Men. But especially if he's like anti-establishment, hello? There's tons of outlets for that. Joe Rogan, Candace Owens, Andrew Tate. He is no longer considered a pariah for speaking out about these things. Plenty of us have these. Oh. Plenty of us have these, you know? And I think we're all waking up to the fact that people who are being silenced, it might not just be for all of these beautiful ethical reasons. It might be because it benefits some people in power that don't want the modus operandi challenged. I don't know. What do you guys think is going on? And I asked you guys on Instagram. Let's read some of your feedback. So I put this on my Instagram. I said, listen, I think both can be true. I think that he's absolutely guilty of these things. I can for sure see that being the case. But I can also see this being very convenient for the establishment that he's rallying against. And I thought you guys were going to be like, the tinfoil. 99.9% of you were like, I completely agree with you. I agree with you. One of my friends, Nadia, said, both things can be true. And what society needs is a dialogue around that. When you said he reminds me of Johnny Depp and not in a good way. I think Big Pharma is 100% trying to take him down. Ooh, I can see both sides. Most people that talk like him get caught for something. Jared Leto will soon too. Ooh, Jared Leto's shit's gonna come out about Jared Leto. And same with Andy Cohen, mark my words. Someone said, I agree with your points. However, as a woman, I wish women would go to the police more. I get this. I do, you know, because I think the most credible person who came forward about Russell is the woman. She's like, I went immediately to the police after he raped me, and they did a kit and they took pictures and antibiotics. Like, she did everything the right way, you know? I also understand, as someone who's been through it, why you don't go to the police. It's like, what are they gonna do? And even if they do something, the whole rest of my life goes with it. I'm in the public eye. I have to maybe go through a trial if it even goes that far. And if it doesn't, I've just ruined my life for fucking nothing. And it doesn't undo what happened. And it actually maybe won't even make me feel better. It's just gonna put more eyes on this and more shame and more judgment and more me having to defend myself. And I'm under the microscope. And that's not with a celebrity. Didn't happen to me with a celebrity. He was just the president of a frat. And I was like, nope, not going to the police. The people in my life didn't care. Why would the cops? I did my own risk analysis and I was like, it's not worth it. And I don't think what women need to hear is, but what about the next girl he goes after? I'm sorry, that's not my fucking problem. I'm trying to deal with my own issue here. Like, well, I'm not, sorry. I guess I'm just a bad person. Now this is all my fault. Now his behavior is my fault? Not just his behavior towards me was my fault, because that's how you feel after, but his behavior towards everyone is my fault now. Got it. Because I won't completely sacrifice myself to bring this person down. Now, on paper, the ethics are, yes, you absolutely should. You have to do it for the greater good. Sacrifice the few to save the many. On a personal level, fuck the many. You're just trying to survive and get through that experience. I get it. And if you didn't stand up and go to the police and do all this, I get it. And no one has the right to shame you for that until they've been through it. In a perfect world, yeah, that's what we do. Because in a perfect world, it would work out. He'd go to jail. But I mean, you know what? That's its own mental burden. You know, I didn't want the guy who did that to me to go to prison forever. I mean, that's like, I don't need that on my conscience, right? I just wanted it not to have happened. I wanted it not to have happened, but it did. And when you're like, well, I don't really know what I can do to unring that bell, it's pretty easy to feel kind of hopeless. I don't think I did the right thing. I didn't really get into therapy because my therapist didn't fucking care. She was literally like, sorry that happened. Like I said, I dropped a rotisserie chicken on the ground. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. That's annoying. It was like that, like, bad day. But I've said this before when I've spoken about this, that realizing that no one was coming to my rescue, right, was harder than what happened. Because you're taught that, no, of course, everyone's gonna help you. Everyone's gonna care. And maybe they did, and maybe I'm misremembering. I don't feel like I did misremember though, but the outcome, the other side of that was, yeah, no one's coming to save me. And because of that, because no one's coming to save me in anything ever, my life belongs to me, both good and bad. I alone have to pick myself up out of the trenches of things that happened to me. But therefore, you know what that means? I alone get to decide what works for me. I alone decide where I live, who I date, what I do for a living, what I wear, everything. And anyone who has an opinion about how I live my life can fuck off. They can fuck right off. So in a way, that was my villain origin story. It was a horrible thing to realize no one's coming to save you, man. It's amazing if they do. And a lot of times people do. A lot of times. But you better err on the side that no, they won't. And you better get real good at saving yourself. You better get real good at living your life for you and for nobody else. For nobody else. Let's keep going. You don't wait until the media comes to disclose it to the public. Okay, so this is another indictment of these women. It's like, again, it's like one woman said she filled out a police report, but also, I also have an issue when people are like, he was emotionally abusive, then leave. This, no shit. Every guy out there, not every guy, but a lot of guys out there are emotionally abusive. Do they deserve to get their lives ruined? This is an interesting question. When it happens to you, it's like, oh, yes, they do. Do they deserve to go to prison? I don't know. This is an interesting ethical question. Like, should it be illegal to just be kind of a douchebag? Who decides what that means? Who decides? Is that a criminal statute? Emotional abuse, as far as I know, is not against the law. It's just shitty. So when celebrities are accused of being emotionally abusive to their nanny or to this person, it's like, then you need to remove yourself from this situation. Because I'm sorry, life actually doesn't guarantee you wonderful interactions with people. Whether that's your employer, or that's your boyfriend, or that's a celebrity on a red carpet. I don't know where you got the idea that that's something you're entitled to. Of course that should be how people move through the world. Of course. Kind, polite, all of that stuff. But when they're not, I'm not like, let me call the police. Like, this is like life 101. So to me, it hurt their credibility when they were like emotionally abusive. I'm like, dude, who isn't? Name a big celebrity that probably isn't a complete dick at sometimes. I'm sure you are. I know I am. Like, I have my moments. Would I want every bad mood, every freak out in a CVS pharmacy, like, broadcast for the world and have my character judged by that alone? No. Of course, there's other factors by which we're judging him, like the rape, the statutory stuff. So it's not, of course, it's not just that. If this was, he's emotionally abusive and that's it, then it would be like Armie Hammer, who, yeah, these women knew his reputation. They clearly still went for it. Even when they encountered him being shitty, they went back. They still answered his text. They went back to the hotel room alone. Like, I just have trouble seeing these people as a victim in Armie's case. Ooh, one of you guys said something very interesting that I really agree with. He speaks as if he's a messiah. He gets clout for acting bipartisan, meaning like not on any political side, but he's just manipulative. That's very true. He absolutely seemed to have a God complex. He's a lot smarter than most people in his industry. You know, we think of celebrities like, wow, they're so perfect. They're literally usually pretty dumb. Katy Perry thinks of herself as very, very dumb. She's not very educated. And I know her. I've hung out with her before. I don't think she's dumb, but she has that idea of herself. And she has like talked about how she's like worked hard to educate herself. You know, she's like, I used to shop my way around the world when I was on tour. Now I educate myself around the world. I go to museums. I go to the local cultural centers. You know, I try to learn about history every place I go. Instead of just like, I'll have another YSL bag. And I think that really drew her to Russell because he is incredibly intelligent and he's sort of mesmerizing to listen to. Yeah, and I think he is manipulative. Absolutely. Okay, here's another interesting point. This is probably true. He was an addict and has openly spoken about how toxic his behavior was at the time, but he's changed. He's sober, he's found spiritual awakening, and is better now. That's tricky because on one hand, that's what we want. We love a redemption story. Look at Christ. We love someone who comes back around, right? On the other, if his toxic behavior was, he threw up at some clubs and yeah, he maybe had some meltdowns at a CVS pharmacy. Okay, no real harm, no real foul. When his toxic behavior is raping people, but he's changed. Oh, well, great. I guess that undoes everything he did. Wow. Oh my God, amazing. I don't think my rapist still rapes people. Who fucking cares? I don't care. I don't care if I was the alpha and the omega of his behavior. I don't care if I was the first and the last person he did that to. He did it to me. And it doesn't undo itself just because they change. He could colonize life on Jupiter. Doesn't undo anything for me. It's almost in some ways, and tell me if you guys agree with this, it can feel worse when they change. Like, oh, so that time you tried to ruin my life. That was just a phase for you. That was just a phase for you and you moved on. But I'm still here. I'm still picking these pieces up. I'm still, irrevocably changed. Got it. I'm still sitting here on YouTube trying to tell myself and tell others the shreds of a silver lining I was able to pull out of that. Oh, but you've got kids and a Tesla and everything's great. That's great. You're great. You're fine. I'm so glad, Nick. I'm so glad that everything's great for you. So let's talk about us. What can we learn from this? If a guy has a bad reputation, should you believe it? Yes. Yes. Unequivocally, yes. Now, I know what you're thinking. Shallon, I had a bad reputation at one point. Like, I blew 2 lacrosse players in one weekend, and I was like, whoa, slutty lacrosse Hannah. Like, forever. I was people call me a slut forever. Yeah. I get that. Not with men. That doesn't happen with men. We do one thing wrong. We have one drunken meltdown. She's batshit crazy, bro. Look, oh, she's crazy, totally crazy. Oh, okay. Guys believe it. Women also believe it, right? We are wet cement. Anything you do, wow, makes a huge impression, and before long, it's set in stone. That is not the case with men. They can act with impunity, and it takes a very long time and many, many, many instances before that is the reputation that precedes them. Oh, he's a complete drunk. Well, for months before that, he just likes to have fun. He parties. Yeah, oh, he gets super wasted. It doesn't stick the way it does to women. Sorry. So if there is something people chronically say about a man, you best believe that it's true. Now, of course, consider the source. If it's his ex-girlfriend, if it's a girl who he rejected, okay, temper that. Understand there's probably 2 sides to every story. But if there's a common theme that keeps coming up, he ghosts girls. He pees the bed. That's probably true. Because people don't really like to listen to women. You know? They make excuses for our judgments of people and our indictments. They make excuses and they dismantle our experiences. People don't do that with men. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, got it. Yeah, man. Right? You don't believe me? What's the inverse concept of the bad boy? Ooh, he's a bad boy. Yeah, I can tame the bad boy. Ooh, every girl loves the bad boy, right? We love it. That's how bad boys thrive. It's because of us. It's because of women. It's not because of other dudes. It's because of women excusing bad behavior. He's called a bad boy because he keeps knocking girls up and never speaking to them again. He's a bad boy because he's got 5 DUIs, right? He's not a bad boy because he plays chess for Harvard. He's bad. What's the male version of that? Who is the female? The guys are like, ooh, she's a bad girl. When she's like actually really fucking toxic. She's hot but crazy. Right there. She's hot, but she's crazy. Like they're acknowledging the flaws. They're still gonna fuck her, but you know what I mean? Women are making excuses for the bad boy. He's just misunderstood. He just needs a good woman to love him. I bet those are just lies. Guys don't do that. They're not like, she's hot and people say she's crazy, but bro, I bet she's just misunderstood. She probably just needs a good man. Guys who look at the hot but crazy girl and say that are seen as absolute cucks by their friend. They're like, he thinks he can turn a hoe into a housewife. Again, there's the phrase like that around women. There's no phrase like that about guys. You can't turn a fratty into a state senator. Yeah, it's just, it's not a two-way street. It's not a two-way street. That's because men's reputations don't stick. And part of the reason they don't stick is because of us. It's because of us. We romanticize these bad boys. Ooh. Guys don't romanticize bad girls. They'll fuck them. They're not going to wife him or date him. And that's really sucky when the reputation that this girl has isn't justified. It's not deserved. And even if it is, I don't know, maybe she's changed. Have you ever tried to outrun a bad reputation? It's very, very difficult. It was difficult in the 90s before there was the internet. Pretty hard now when everything's like carved into stone and word travels so fast. So, in the name of equality, let's give a little bit of that back to men. I'm not feeling so generous of spirit today. If a man has a bad reputation, girl, believe it. Believe it. And believe it when a guy tries to justify his bad reputation with, you know what it is? She's crazy. My ex, they're all crazy. I'll never forget in all of my relationships, the moment when I was sitting there across the dinner table going, I suddenly understand his ex. And here I was calling her crazy too. It's like that Olivia Rodrigo song. Wow. Actually, I get it. I get why she walked out on him. I get why she took the dog. I get why she's dating his friend instead of him. I get it. Why she's so crazy. Suddenly makes a lot more sense. So if you're going to do a kindness for yourself, believe the hype. About women? No. I mean, don't automatically dismiss somebody's reputation just because she's a woman. You know, people are always like, oh, you should be supporting all women. No. Why? Because we have the same genitals? It's going to take a little bit more than that. I'm going to judge you for your content, the content of your character, not just what plumbing you got. And no. So take those messages in with a grain of salt, look at the data, analyze, go with your gut feelings, things of that nature. With men, sorry, girl. Believe it. What do you guys have to say? What do you think about Russell? Is Big Pharma out to get him? Are these women telling the truth? Are both of these things true? Do you believe my possible theory that maybe it didn't happen to these specific women, but they're sort of an amalgam of a lot of other types of experiences, and these are women sort of like hired to be the face of that at a very convenient time to disrupt him, given how outspoken he's been about the establishment? I don't know. Is that a crazy theory? If I was evil, maybe I'd do that. I'll see you next time, Shalligators. We've got some fun videos in store for you, like Justin and Hailey celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary, Maren Morris quitting country music because she's such a clown, and something Caitlyn Jenner said about Kim Kardashian was that she was super calculating in her pursuits of fame. Is that a great strategy? Yeah, we're gonna talk about all of that. And like I said, if you are feeling generous, please donate to the Whispering Willows Dog Sanctuary. It would really mean a great deal to me. There's the links down below, or you can donate directly on my Instagram. See you later, Shalligators.